Countryside, it's Joe Smith, your general manager, and I am here today with Joe Catalano, one of our residents, and we are continuing these conversations we're having with residents in regards to this master plan project. So Mr. Catalano, I appreciate you spending some time with me today.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. Glad to have you. These conversations have been fun. Primarily just to get some feedback on the project, and I'm really interested to hear what you all are hearing in the community. So why don't we start out and talk a little bit about how you ended up in Countryside and how long you've been here?
We first came down in 1991.
Okay.
My wife and I are teachers, so we used to get 2 weeks off at Easter vacation all the time. So we would make a loop. We would come down and visit my wife's relatives on the East Coast. A teacher friend of ours bought in Building 6 on Country Manor, so we would come down, spend a couple of days with him, visit my parents in Largo, and then Disney, and then home. So we've been down almost every single year since '91.
Oh, wow.
And we ended up buying in 2001.
Wow.
We were playing golf, and on the 6th green we saw sell by owner. So after golf we went over, talked to the person, we agreed, went to Fifth Third Bank the next day at noon, 3 o'clock we got the okay, the loan went through, and here we are since we've owned since '01.
Wow, 20 years later, 21 years, and you've been coming down for 30, right?
For 30 years, yeah.
So were you familiar with any other communities in the area? Or?
No, just this one.
Wow.
Just Countryside, and loved it since we walked in.
Yeah.
We loved every minute of it.
What'd you love most about it? What's so attractive about the community?
Just the golf course at the time, and just the people. The people are fantastic here, and we just stayed.
Yeah, that's come up in every conversation I've had, is the people. Both the residents and our employees. And one of the things that is just so special about this community is the tenure on both sides. We have so many. Our average employee is here for 15 years. And every resident I've talked to is 20 plus years, either living in the community or familiar with the community in some aspect, and it's incredible.
We brought, in the last 3 years, 2 other friends of ours from back home have bought here, and one of their friends just bought, so we're a nice little congregation of people that we know.
Yeah, a lot of that happens too, just word of mouth. Word of mouth. So that kind of is a good transition. As we talk about referring friends and family and experiencing the amenities and whatnot, we've done a lot of capital improvements over the last 6 or 7 years.
We've seen a lot since '91.
Yeah. So are you primarily golfers?
Yes.
Okay.
Golfers, tennis players.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of capital that went into those 2 areas recently. What's your experience with that? What do you think of those projects? How'd they go?
I loved the last project with the fitness center and the tennis courts over there. I stopped playing for a while. I had both knees replaced, I had to stop playing tennis for a while.
Sure.
And the tennis courts are beautiful. And the renovation of the golf course I don't think you can beat it right now. It's great.
Yeah.
It was needed.
Yeah.
And we just love playing golf.
Yeah. Well, when you say it was needed, like anything, it's an asset of the community. And, people don't think that the golf course ages the same way that a building ages, but it does. And a lot of the important things are in the ground. And it really requires a full, rebuild, which is what we went through. Have you had any friends or family experience the course?
Oh yes.
Since we renovated?
Yes. One of the reasons our friends came down was because of the golf course.
Okay.
Of course, we can't play golf back home. All the time.
Yeah.
And they're really good golfers, and even though our course here is a little shorter than ours back home, they loved it because they have to have their drives and other shots straight.
Sure.
So they practice
their
short game. But everybody loves it here. Our people that we have friends that come down and visit, they just love it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So obviously we want to talk a little bit about this next proposed project, which is large-scale project. You know, you're familiar with some of the material we've put out there, and there's a lot of conversations through the community, obviously. So what are your initial thoughts on the proposed clubhouse renovation?
I love every aspect of it.
Yeah.
The bar area, especially the outside seating. We need the outside seating. I mean, last year we had there's 3 tables on the patio.
There's 3 high tops. Yeah.
And then we had those tables out in
the banquet tables.
That was.
Yeah.
Like I was telling people, one of the advantages or disadvantages of playing reciprocals, you see our competition.
Yeah.
And all the ones that we played had gorgeous outside dining.
Yeah.
And we need that.
Yeah.
Just to increase the value of our properties.
Sure.
You know, we have new people coming in and they look around and where's the outside dining? Well, there's a couple tables out there.
Yeah.
That's not a good selling point.
Yeah, it's really not. It's really not. And you know, one of the things we've been discussing with residents on the topic of dining is the proposed plan really gives us 3 unique
Different
dining areas. You
Right.
know, and with the enhancements to the kitchen, it's going to allow a chef and our food and beverage team to put out 3 different menus. So I was talking with someone recently, and I said, you know, in theory, you could come to the club 3 times in a day and get a different experience.
Right.
You know, because the bar and lounge area is going to have an outdoor element, and that's going to have more of your kind of bar type atmosphere after golf. You know, casual lunch. You've got the dining room, which is going to feel like a dining room. You know, a little bit more upscale. And then you've got this new element that is being proposed, the outdoor pool cafe, which you know, is going to give you a different experience that we don't even have here now.
I forgot what game it was, but we're diehard Bills fans, and we came to the bar to see if we can watch the game. The game was on, but there was no seats available.
Sure.
So you know, that's one advantage. Hopefully, we'll solve that problem.
Yeah, yeah. We're the seating's going to expand significantly. It's going to roughly double, which gives us some more not only ability to accommodate more people, obviously, but it gives us more flexibility to accommodate some simultaneous events. You know, in other words, we have to close the club for large events, and that's the only thing offered. But with this new plan, we'll be able to offer dining option outside of a large special event, which is just more variety for members.
Yeah, my wife and I are the treasurers of the couples league. And we have 4 or 5 different lunches or dinners. So we'll have different options of where we can put it outside or inside. Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll give us a lot of variety. And then, for friends, family, and guests also.
Right.
I always hesitate to throw the dress code thing out there, but when you look at the pool cafe as a proposed option, that's going to be a real casual element, because it is poolside. So if you do have kids, grandkids in town, and maybe they don't have a collared shirt, or they just want to, they're here in Florida. I just want to put on a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. You could. That's the area for it, and you're not going to feel out of place.
When we first came down, remember, you had to have a jacket on to go to the dining room.
Yeah.
And that has changed over the years.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
And it's not just here. I've clubs that I started at in the industry 20 years ago, it was jacket and tie required. And I think that's kind of...
That's gone now.
Yeah, gone by the wayside. Right. There's still a time and place, special events and whatnot, wine dinners. But yeah, I think people come down here and they want to be casual. And relax. So obviously, project of this magnitude, there's not all supporters out there. So I'm interested in what you're hearing in the community, or maybe from some of your peers who may not be in support of the project or maybe elements of the project? What are some of the concerns?
The biggest concern is the pool.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one concern. People, why are we spending money in the pool when it's not used a lot?
Yeah.
Again, going to play these reciprocal courses, you see these beautiful resort type pools that have drawn people to the pool.
Yeah.
And that pool's got to be, what, 40 years old maybe?
Yeah,
So
mid-30s.
It's going to have major repairs soon, which is going to cost a lot of money. So let's do it now.
Yeah.
And then the other concern, it's a small concern, is why do we have to put pickleball courts out when most of the communities have pickleball courts in their communities?
Right.
And that's the two big ones.
Yeah.
100% everybody, I think, is agreed the outside dining is number one priority.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think when, as you mentioned earlier, you compare us to other clubs, that really stands out.
Right.
You know, especially, the seasonal months and just kind of the environment and atmosphere you have in Florida, South Florida, like people want to be outside.
Be outside all the time.
Yeah.
Right, I agree.
Yeah. So, you mentioned the pool. What do you, I mean, as far as saying, residents saying it's not used now, do you think that's the only hang up for people, or is there something else that they're not?
I think that's the main.
Yeah.
But I think they're also looking for a way to save money.
Sure.
And I don't know what the budget is for that, for the pool area.
The pool area is roughly around $500,000.
Yeah.
And I've shared with some residents the pool itself, as it sits today, needs $100,000 worth of work.
That's what we thought. Yeah.
It needs to be resurfaced. It's got a leak. The equipment is old. We just replaced another pool heater. So the pool itself needs significant amount of deferred maintenance. And then when you look at that surrounding area as part of the project, you're probably looking at another few $100,000 in pavers and decking and fencing and whatnot.
But then again, people coming in, prospective buyers, and they'll see maybe this gorgeous, and then you have this pool here.
Yeah.
And then when they go to these outside communities and they see these, and they go,
yeah.
And it's only going to increase the value of your complex.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Let me ask you.
And I think saving that much money is not going to lower your monthly fee that much.
I don't think so either. I mean, really, some of the early numbers that we were looking at, you're looking at maybe $10 a month.
Right.
And when you put it in that perspective, it's not a huge
number.
Right.
I totally agree.
I've heard some concerns about a project of this size potentially changing the culture of the community. And I've heard some of that from residents, and I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that.
I haven't heard any of that.
Yeah.
It's just the increase of the enjoyment of being here.
Sure.
Like you said, you'll have 3 choices of where you want to eat at night or afternoon. And I think it's a great project, and I hope everybody votes for it.
Yeah. Well, we do too. Going back to tenure, we put a lot of focus on our employees. I see them as our biggest asset. We could have the most gorgeous club in the world, but if we don't have good people, the experience isn't great. And we really need to put some effort and some focus on some of the areas behind the scenes. Kitchen being one of them, and just make sure that we continue to enhance the work experience here as well. And that's an area that's really we've been struggling for a number of years, and it's no one's fault. But just as the club ages, and as activity grows, those areas become more difficult to work in. So I know the employees are excited for portions of the project as well. So we all really would love it to go through.
We have a lot of contact with Jay and Scott for our dinners and luncheons, and they are fantastic.
Yeah.
And they've been really, really helpful, and the food choices that Jay's come up with have been great.
Well, and you know what, he's as good as the environment we give him. So you can imagine how good he'll be
with the increased kitchen.
Oh
suite.
yeah, yeah. And
looking forward to that.
Us too. The three of us worked together for years previously.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
yeah.
oh, that's
Jay,
right.
Scott, and
Right.
I worked together for a long time.
Right.
So we've got a great food and beverage team there, and giving them some better tools is just going to enhance the experience.
I agree.
So, I wanted to ask you: Are you all year round here?
No.
No.
We've been coming down first week in October, and we go back first week in May.
Okay. Have you ever been here through a summer?
Again, when we were working, we would come down the last 2 weeks in August.
Yeah.
Before school started.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of know how seasonal things are. Occasionally I've heard some questions from residents about what would summer operations look like. Have you heard any of that? Or
Just that the hours of the restaurants.
yeah,
The restaurant they would get expanded.
sure.
That's the only thing that we heard of.
Yeah. Well, I think we, obviously, depending on what happens, we have to, look at the programming. But with a project of this size and that I could see that first summer introducing expanded hours of operation because I think people will be excited to use it. I think people may choose to stay, extend their time here a little bit. But that also is a good way for us to gauge what the activity would be like. Is expand the hours, see what's supported,
See what happens, and then make
adjust
a
as
decision
necessary.
Right.
Because we're always balancing. We want to open when the activity is there, and also run a smart business for you all. So if the support is there, we gladly will be here. We want to work. We want to be busy. So. From the committee perspective, we've got a group of residents who've really been steering this, from the beginning. What do you think is important over the next, couple months here, several weeks, for the committee to continue to, push through the community?
Things like this.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect. I don't know. It just keep talking up the program.
Yeah.
And the sessions that you're having are great because it has solved a lot of misconceptions out there.
Sure.
And I think more of those, and just keep us informed of what's going on.
Yeah. Well, communication is really important.
It's always
to us.
important, right?
Really important to us. So, and correct information.
Correct information, because there was a lot of bad rumors going around what's going on, and a lot of that has been squashed a little bit because of these kind of stuff going on, and some of the communications that are out.
Yeah. What do you think, what's one of the biggest rumors that you're hearing right now?
Just the pool area.
Yeah.
That's the number one that I hear about is the pool.
Yeah.
For the pool, against the pool.
Yeah.
And you have to solve that problem.
Yeah. Well, I know the committee's tuned into that, and they're going to continue to focus on that as part of the project. And I know the sessions that we've been having, they're collecting all that feedback from residents. So they're taking it really serious. And I think the most important thing right now is that we all continue to communicate with each other, either through this type of forum or the proof of concept meetings, or even just reaching out to committee members with questions. That's what they're there for.
I remember the first time we met when you first got hired, and you were in Pool 1 area at Country Manor,
Yes.
and you were there. That was very helpful.
Yes.
Everybody got to know you. Maybe some of those where you actually go out to the community would help.
Yeah, do a little field trip.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then maybe that's we're coming up middle of first quarter here, so that might be a good opportunity for the committee to get out there and do some on-site discussion.
Right. Instead of them coming to you, you go to them.
Sure, that's a great idea. Excellent. Well, Mr. Catalano, anything else you want to chat about today?
No, I can relax now.
Well, you and Mrs. have been great supporters of the club, and we really appreciate having you as residents.
We're not going anywhere.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. yeah, hope you're here for many more years, and
Me too.
hope you're here to, you know, enjoy this project should it go through.
It will.
Yeah, we hope so.
It will.
We hope so. Thanks again for spending time with me today. Countryside, as always, we're here. If you have questions, comments, feedback, you can send them my way. You can reach out to any one of our committee members or members of the master board. We've got a few more of these videos scheduled in the future, and we'll see you around the club real soon. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.